Dr. Joe Vitelli, Dr. Len.
Thank you. I love you. Excellent. Good morning. I met almost everybody last night, and you all seem to be incredibly excited. I want to know why. What do you think you're going to get? Really, anybody? What do you think you're going to get? What are you excited about? Something that's going to change your life. More clearing. Somebody else. What are you doing here then? We got it already, she said. What are we doing here then? We're sharing the love and the energy. We're networking with the big guy. But she pointed upstairs. She says, we're networking with the big guy. That's excellent. That's excellent. I'll tell you what I think's going on. First of all, I got no agenda. He has no agenda. I have no notes. He has no notes. We have no outline. We have no PowerPoint. He has no outline. He has no PowerPoint. I think that we want to go here. And this, to me, I end up calling the whiteboard. The whiteboard can be called zero. The whiteboard can be called God. The whiteboard can be called life. But as soon as you call the whiteboard anything, including the whiteboard, you're one step removed away from it. I think we want to be at zero. We want to be at the place of zero limits. And anything we say about what we'd like to get out of it, anything we say about what we would like to do, anything we say about what this is, anything we say about the beliefs and limitations is all our garbage that we've written on the whiteboard. Now, Mark gave you this wonderful introduction, and it is true. He told me that wild story about this therapist that worked for the mental hospital for the criminally insane, who somehow did not work one-on-one with people. He saw them in the halls, but somehow managed to heal them. I found that man. I interviewed him on the phone at first, and he told me his name, Dr. E. Haleakala Hu Lin. And he said, call me E for short. I said, thank you. I needed that break. So I talked to E and I asked him, is it true that you worked at the mental hospital? Yes. Is it true that you didn't see patients? He said, not professionally. I saw them in the hall. Is it true you helped heal them? He said, yes. And I said, what did you do? I was profoundly curious. He said, all I did was clear and clean myself. What does that mean? I clear and clean myself and mentally ill criminals get better? It did not compute. So he said, my whole job here, and he meant my whole job on earth, but he was also talking my whole job there at the hospital is to clean. Explain that to me. He was very patient. He took 45 minutes with me. He did not know me. He had no idea who I was. He never knew that we would ever meet. He never knew that there would ever be a book. He had no idea we'd ever do seminars together. He was just being open-hearted with me. The divine said, answer the phone. I called. He answered the phone. He answered my questions. What he explained is he would look at patients' charts. Can I pick this up for a second? You can imagine that this is a medical chart. And so he would look at the patient's chart. And he would see that they were a murderer, they were a rapist, they had done something pretty dastardly, they were mentally ill criminals who had been confined in a mental hospital, an institution. And as he looked at it, he noticed what he felt within himself, which could have been anger, which could have been resentment, which could have been rage, which could have been bitterness, any number of things. Whatever he felt in himself is what he tried to erase. This is what he meant by clearing. He wasn't trying to clear you. He wasn't trying to clear the patient. He was trying to clear what he noticed within himself that participated in the creation of the patient. I didn't understand. I didn't get it. And I said, okay, how did you co-create them? How did you participate in the creation of a mentally ill criminal who you didn't know anything about and knew no history of, that you didn't know anything about until they got to the hospital? And then he said the most mind-stretching thing that still boggles my mind. And when we talk about complete responsibility, this has taken it to a level that nobody outside of this room, unless they've read Zero Limits or done a workshop with him, have ever considered. And that's the idea that most of you have heard, that you create your own reality. I see some heads nodding. In Dr. Len's world, and it's actually Dr. Hulen. I've shortened it from E to Dr. Len, but it's actually Dr. Hulen, if you want to say his name correctly. In Dr. Hulen's world, he says, if you create your own reality and somebody shows up in your reality that happens to be a mentally ill criminal, you created them too. You create your own reality. They're in your reality. This is 100% responsibility to a degree that almost nobody hears about, let alone entertains or tries to live. So I did find him. I did do that interview with him. I did do a seminar. In fact, Mark Ryan and I did the seminar, the first one, together. And I did several seminars with him. I also brought him to Austin, where Suzanne and I had set up this dinner party. We thought 5 people might show up. We had like 75 people who showed up. They were just drawn to this whole idea. And then, of course, we did a preliminary Zero Limit seminar about a year ago in Austin. Didn't advertise it. I just wanted to see if Dr. Hulen and I danced well together. And we danced remarkably well together, letting the divine play the music. So he has agreed to come and do another workshop for today and tomorrow. When I say workshop, that's not making any sense to me. It needs to be called something else. It's not really a workshop. It's not really a play shop. It's not really a seminar. It's some sort of experiential, some sort of splash of the divine. And it is all driven by inspiration. As you'll be learning that you have a choice. Your choice is to come from inspiration or to come from memory in each moment. And virtually all of us are coming from memory. We're coming from something we've done before. We're coming from past programming. That's what we want to clean. That's what we want to erase. And as you erase that, you start coming from inspiration. And where does inspiration come from? The whiteboard or the blackboard. It comes from here. It's inspired. It just kind of bubbles up. And throughout the weekend, if it occurs to me, I'll tell you various stories about how that's bubbled up for me, how inspiration has just kind of showed up. And I say when inspiration shows up, your part of the deal is to take action. And then if you're actually clear, you'll automatically take action. That if you get an inspiration and you don't take action, it's because there's some sort of memory there that's causing you to not move forward. So hopefully you're all delightfully confused. And that's a wonderful place to be. Confusion is that wonderful state before clarity. So it is a great pleasure, a great honor to bring up here somebody who has deeply influenced my life, somebody who is a co-author for one of the most important books I've written, Zero Limits, the man of the moment, Dr. Hulen. Is your mic on? I'm going to make sure you're on. Say something.
I thought he was going to say the man of La Mancha. You know? I'm going to open with a greeting in Hawaiian, and the purpose is to, if you brought in any garbage into the room, we want to take that back to zero. Yeah. Pua maya mai kapo iloko, ka ma lama lama, wao no ka ha, ka mali ola, wao no ka poho, ke ka ele mamapaho a ino ke au pao, ka I ke kino ihu na me au pao, ka iau I ku u pi o na nui nui, mavaho a ino kai au pao, ka ho o mau mau o mananao, a me na me au pao, wao no ka ho, a me ka ha, he huna kamakani, nahi nahi, ka hua huna, o kumalipo, o bao no ki I. I am the I. I come forth from the void into light. I am the breath that nurtures life. I am that emptiness, that hollowness beyond all consciousness, the I, the id, the all. I draw my bow of rainbows across the waters, the continuum of minds with matters. I am the incoming and the outgoing of breath, the invisible, untouchable breeze, the undefinable atom of creation. I am the I. I was in North Carolina doing a class, and somebody sent me or gave me there, if I can find it. Somebody sent me a cartoon, and I think it's important to share it with you, just to make sure we're getting clear as to what I'm talking about. So the cartoon is called Cornered, and it's in a bookstore. It could be in Borders or doesn't matter. So there's a sign that says self-help, and there's only one fellow under there. And then there's another sign that says fixing others. Yeah. So most of us spend most of our lives fixing others. And if you really pay attention, you will notice it never works. Now, if you're a physician, you think it works, it never works. For example, in this great country of ours, by the time a cardiologist is 60 years old, he has a higher incidence of heart problems than the general population. So some of you who, Joe said I could say anything, so I'm going to say it. So some of you who are, quote, healers, I'm going to talk to you today particularly, because it's important for you to know what's going on in you. So I'm going to pose 5 questions today. I'm going to kind of address myself to it, and maybe I won't, maybe it'll show up, who knows, yeah. So the first question I'm going to address myself to is a question that probably not too many people walking the earth can answer clearly. Clearly. And the question is, who am I? Who am I? As you know, the great philosopher Socrates says, know thyself. And most people have no idea who they are. And I suspect some of you don't either. So I'm going to go over this today or tomorrow, and Joe will give you some stories, and maybe some of you will have some stories. But who am I? And as Shakespeare said, to thine own self be true. But most of us are not. Moment by moment, we're somewhere else, and we're not ourselves. So it's going to be very important to at least kind of address ourselves to this. And then the other question I'm going to ask is, what is a problem? And most people have no idea what this is. And if you look at the health system today, it's going crazy, because nobody in the health system has answered the question, what is the problem? Yeah? So it's very important to work with that and be very clear, because if you're not clear, you're going to be like a rubber ball bouncing all over the place and causing problems for everybody else. Then the third question, I think, is very important, and it's the question of 100% responsibility, is the question of where is the problem? Where is the problem? And this question deals with being 100% responsible. And as I say, kind of every class that I've ever given for the 25 years, the point always comes up, have you ever noticed that every time there's a problem, you are always there? Yeah. I mean, you are always there. Always. There's no exception. So we're going to look at where is the problem, because if you're not clear where the problem is, then too bad for the rest of us. Because as you get clear as to who you are, what is the problem, where the problem is, the rest of us will be fine. Really. But as long as you can't answer any of this, the rest of us will be in hell, and you will be the creator now. Yeah? So it's very important. And then the question is, how can the problem be solved? How can the problem be solved? But how can we solve a problem when we don't even know what the problem is? How can we solve a problem when we don't even know where it is? Truly, we have no idea. So I'm going to deal with this, and it's This 3 and 4 deal with being 100% responsible. It's very, very, very important to be 100% responsible. And then the 5th question, which I've just thrown in since Japan. I came back from Japan, did a class there last weekend. The question is what is the purpose of existence? What is the purpose of existence? And nobody knows. Because if you knew, you wouldn't be here. Really, you would not be here. If you knew what a problem was, you would not be here. You would be wasting your time. Wasting it. You could be walking the beaches of Maui, or go up to the place where I live on the Big Island, volcano, 5 miles from an active volcano, and any moment you go, and you're gone. You know? But since I live part of the year in California, Woodland Hills, you could go, be gone too. Here's what I'm going to, Joe and I and whoever, I don't know where it's going to go. I don't care where it's going to go, really. I'm just putting it up, and you're going to be creating where it goes, and I'm going to be doing what I came to do, and go, oh my God, and then start erasing, yeah. So, let's see, where do we begin? That's a very important question. Where do we begin? Somebody tell me, where do we begin? If we're going to solve these, we're going to answer these questions, where do we begin? And be clear. Again, he says he's giving permission to be profane. So most of what you're going to say today is bullshit stuff. I mean, you are. Yeah, I've heard it before. It's going to be sheer bullshit. So I'm getting ready, and here's what I'm getting ready with. Maybe Joe wants to say something.
No, I just have a mic to hand to whoever wants to say something. Right there.
Well, you're like everybody else. Only what happens if you're in California and in Los Angeles, they talk a very good story. Yeah. Whatever reason, the Los Angeles folks around Los Angeles, they always say, I know, and you know it's bullshit stuff. I mean, it is. It's all the bullshit. So maybe somebody would like to contribute to the bullshit, you know? So I have here what is called an eraser. So as you're talking, I'm watching the room, watching the cosmos, watching the plant, watching all this, and it's only an opportunity for me to erase. So fire away. And you have to, for me, you have to speak very slowly, and I would ask you to stand up so I know where the trash is coming from.
From this corner.
Now, we're going to make the point now. So listen, he is not talking. I want you to be clear about that. When he speaks, he is not speaking. It's data speaking in his soul. So he's not speaking, because if he was at 0, he would have nothing to say. So I'm going to make this point over and over again, that you were created in the exact likeness of the divine, pure and perfect. Pure. So who you are is a divine being that's perfect already. But you happen to talk trash. Yeah? So let's listen to a divine being talk trash. Yes, sir.
So once I heard that there are no problems.
I'm sorry?
Once I heard that there are no problems, but only situations.
What does that mean?
It means that it becomes a problem because of our understanding it as a problem.
No, it becomes a problem because it's data. See, now if, for example, you were at 0, you'd be fine. But as soon as you start talking, you're talking, as Dr. Vitaly is saying, you're talking this. But here's who you are. But when you talk trash, this echoes the trash. But if you were already perfect, you wouldn't say anything. 0. So what you're saying is nonsense. So I'm going to hit like that because I want to make sure you don't get away with bullshit.
Any more questions?
Yeah. So now where you want to be, so I'm going to erase the board and I want you to watch this. You will know, you will realize I cannot erase 0, but I can erase data. So I'm going to erase the data, and as I erase the data, I'm leaving you behind. This is you. This is what Shakespeare called blank. This is what Goethe in Faust calls stillness. This is what Jesus called purity of soul. This is what people like Buddha says void. So when you're at void, you're free, clear, peace, beyond all comprehension. This is you. This is chaos. This is chaos on you. This is disease. This is problem. And this is what Buddha calls suffering. That when the data plays, which is a memory replaying, as Dr. Vitaly pointed out, you're stuck. I don't care what you say, it's trash. But now, if you're willing to let go.
Can I add one thing?
Oh, please be my guest.
So he said, I have a problem, but he heard that he can call it, I have a situation. I'm writing it down so that you can visibly see that this is just data reframed with a different word in it. It is still a program, it is still trash, it is still something that can be erased. It's exactly the same thing, you just used a different word on it, but that word was also taking you away from 0.
Taking you away from yourself. Pure in heart. You have given up. Don't go away, Dr. Vitaly. Come. So you have given up yourself, pure in heart, for trash. Trash. I mean, can you imagine giving up a pure soul for trash? And this is what we do moment to moment. We're trashy. Yeah. For example, some of you have this notion that you're a healer. It's trash. Some of you who think you're coaches, it's trash. Because if you're hanging around somebody who needs to be coached, all you have to do is erase the stuff and the person will be fine. Because if you are 0, everybody else will be at 0. So when I work with people who come and see me over the years, I try not to. But when they call or get an email that slips in, I don't know how they got, I say to myself, what's going on in me that they should be giving me a litany, data, trash of their problems. And so now as I begin to erase the trash in me, it gets erased in them, and they never email me again. Now, the only thing I don't know, and Mr. Joe Vitaly will have to tell me, is how to build them. Yeah. So please be clear, like he's pointed out, you are 0. This is called freedom. Freedom is no trash. Clarity. Peace beyond all understanding. This is who we are.
He and I were on a radio show together, and we were getting a lot of call-in questions, and we were getting a lot of call-in comments. before my book came out, our book, this was mine, but Zero Limits was by both of us, he said, Joe, when the book comes out, the shit is going to hit the fan. And I said, no problem, I can handle it. Until the first shit hit the fan. And I didn't handle it very well. I had a whole lot of cleaning to do within me. We ended up doing a radio show together that he probably remembers. And he interrupted the host and he said, do you have any really nasty questions?
We were having all kinds of sweet kind of questions. And I said to him, let's go after a nasty one, you know?
And so the announcer said, somebody by the name of Chris has this really strong question. And I was bracing myself to hear it. It's like, I wasn't inviting this. I don't want to hear this. I'm doing just fine in my little bubble. So don't bring it in. He was inviting it. Why was he inviting it? First, opportunity for clearing. But he said something that was a real eye-opener for me. He said that the person asking the question isn't asking the question. It is a data, it is a program, it is a belief, whatever you want to call that, was being spoken through the person.
This is why therapy never works. Because, as he's pointing out, when somebody says something to you, it's not about that. But we who have been trained, including parents, we keep thinking that's what they're saying. But you never hear what they say because you're always reacting. You're only hearing your reaction to what they're saying. Yeah.
Just having that awareness that the person asking the question wasn't trying to dagger me on purpose. What they were really doing was expressing what I sometimes called a virus of the mind, that they had actually just picked up a virus and that they were expressing it, much like somebody picks up a cold, that they weren't doing it intentionally, that they had no responsibility for it because they were unaware of it, but because it was coming through that, instead of seeing a person named Chris in this case who was asking a question, I now heard that data came through a person named Chris, and what I wanted to clean was the data. And I was recognizing the data because the data was in me.
Take it slowly now. Let's go through that one more time, because some of the people are going, eh? One more time.
What I'm looking for when anybody comes to me and they say something nice about that book or any of my work, or they say something negative, perceived as negative about that book or any other work, is I'm now looking at it's not the person telling me it, it's not you expressing it, that you actually have picked up a cold, a virus, a program. And these programs are in us, they're in the universe. This is one thing that he's depressed me with. He says there is an unimaginably huge amount of cleaning to do that we will actually never ever get it done in this lifetime. And I was really looking for the easy button, push it, and everybody's cleaned, especially me first. But the point is that whatever I'm noticing in somebody else, I'm only noticing it in somebody else because it's in me. And so instead of trying to clean the other person, which isn't going to work because the thing is in me, I've noticed it. I have to clean within me. And I'm at the point that I'm doing it non-stop to the best of my ability. And I'll tell you how I do it once we get through this. But I wanted to go and reiterate it.
So, anybody unclear about what he said? Because if you give me a chance to say I can erase it because it's trash. So anything that comes up in your mind, including a question, can be erased. Because once you leave this room, you're going to have questions that can be erased. If you don't get to erasing them, you're going to be stuck in the data. It's going to kill you. Example: there was a woman in Fort Collins. There was a woman in Fort Collins raised her hand, and she said to me, Dr. Hughlin, I did the cleaning, but I had a flat tire. And I go, what's the big deal? And as I was watching, here's what I was watching. My mind cleaning, because she wasn't saying what she was saying. I was watching. I did my cleaning. As I was watching the cleaning, here's what I heard. So when you clean, here's what you're going to hear. It's called inspiration. You got to be at zero. You got to give it up, the trash. So now here's this is called inspiration. It's called inspire, what the Hawaiians call ha. The ha is equivalent to inspire. And if you take this word and you attach it to the word alo, Ha. Do you know what aloha means? Oh, that's funny. Welcome. Trash. Tell me what aloha really means.
To be in the presence of God.
Yes, to be in the presence of God. So if I say aloha to my friend here, I'm acknowledging I'm in the presence of God and I shouldn't be screwing around. Because if I'm angry with him, it's being angry against God. So just want to share that with you, just as a side note. So alo means to be in the presence of God. Okay, so now inspiration comes in and I hear. Here's what's going on. So as I was doing my cleaning, I heard divinity say to me, 3 generations from now, her great, 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 great grandson would have been born retarded. Can I say that again? So doing the cleaning, the opportunity to clean, prevented a memory from producing in her family a retarded person. Let's kind of hang around with that a little bit. Maybe you kind of pay attention. You ought to do more cleaning, be more at zero. I mean, really. In Charlotte, I was doing a class in Charlotte. A woman says, I only have a small question, Dr. Yulan. Bullshit stuff. So the question comes up and I'm cleaning. I'm watching my mind, seeing what's coming up. I'm cleaning and I'm watching it. And I hear the divinity say to me, ask her a question just to see what she will do. And I went, blah, 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 blah. And up she came. And what I saw, and I did the cleaning with, lunchtime, I went to lunch and she came to see me. Because I already know what the problem was. She had suicide. That's what I was working on. All the women in this world who feel down, dislocated, unloved, uncared for, commit suicide. In Japan, where I just came from, 30,000 people a year commit suicide. Yeah, but don't you commit suicide in your mind? Yeah, you do it all the time. So the point is, what Joe Vitaly and I are pointing out, you better get to zero. Don't try to figure anything out. If you have a question in this room, that's great. Outside of this room, if you hang around with questions, it's going to take you down. It's going to take you down. I'm only here to say hello. We're going to handle questions in this room, but I want the questions will teach you more. Yes?
I've heard some people just say...
You can stand up so I can see you, please.
I've heard some people just repeat, I'm sorry.
No, you didn't hear that. You heard yourself hearing them repeat.
Well, I read it in an email.
No, you didn't read it in an email. You read your reaction to it. That's why I'm saying you can be cleaning with this stuff instead of hanging around with it. When you say, Joe Vitaly said, you didn't say that. It's your thoughts are saying that's what Joe Vitaly said. You never heard it straight. You'll never hear it straight. The data will never give you the answer. Never, never, never.
My question was, it didn't seem to be addressing anything in particular, and I'm wondering if the cleaning should have a subject.
Why is that?
Huh?
Why is that?
I don't know. I'm asking.
I don't know either.
You don't know?
No. Why? But you'll never know. That's the point I'm telling you. If you say I love you, you don't know what divinity is going to do. You're not the one that's going to heal it. The divinity is going to heal it. You have to be responsible. But you don't have any idea what's going to be worked on.
So if I just went around saying...
No, you got to be careful about saying that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Well, can you give us some guidelines? Because that's what I'm here to learn.
Yeah, but the guideline is just say I love you.
All the time?
Well, if you want to do it all the time. But that's the guideline, is be 100% responsible. And the way to be 100% responsible is start cleaning so you can get to zero.
And what about the, I'm sorry, forgive me?
Now you're getting fancy.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just trying to follow all the
No,
instructions.
you're not trying. No. What you're trying to do is you're trying to stay stuck in the data. Just get to the cleaning. If you're trying to figure things out, you're going to get stuck and swallowed up by the data. I'm only here to say, just get to the cleaning. Forget how come, why, should I do it this way, that way. Just do it.
Okay.
See, now you're rippling over here, and she's got a question, but it's trash too.
Okay.
Because if you and I were at zero, you wouldn't be asking all this. Now I'm saying to these people who are watching you, they think it's you and me, but it's the trash in them. Yeah, I know it's a very different way. So just get to the cleaning. That's the story. Forget about trying to figure out what's going on. The intellect will not have. Listen, watch this. I just want to make a point over here because it's very important for you to know. So let it be the conscious mind. Let this be the subconscious. For every one byte of information that this is aware of, 1 million it's not aware of. So at any given second, it's 15 bytes per second conscious, so it's 15 million. 15 million you're not aware of. Huh? Yeah, and you're saying, I know. You're saying, what, I'm going to clean a specific thing? No, just say, I love you. Thank you. Forget about trying to get it. Look at this intellect part of you, trying to figure everything out. Look at this stuff. When there's a tumultuous kind of activity going below your consciousness. So the story is, I'm only here to I guess, promote it. Just clean. Give up trying to. Yeah. Now she's going to be talking. She's going to be talking. You have an opportunity to clean now because it's trash.
I thank you for that.
Yeah, well, it is trash. I'm going to tell her it's trash.
I know it's
because
trash.
If she was at zero, he told me it's okay to be really pointed. So if you're at zero, you wouldn't be clean. You wouldn't be speaking. And if she has a question, she could have cleaned it, and she wouldn't have it. But now we're going to have to put up with it because she's giving you a chance to clean. You understand this? She's giving every one of you a chance to clean. But you're just sitting there because you think it's her problem. Yeah. So let's hear what the trash is.
As I'm cleaning.
No, you're asking anyway. What do you mean as you're cleaning?
No, as I'm cleaning.
Yeah.
Does it have to come from the heart or the intellect or both?
See, this is Los Angeles stuff. Yeah. In Los Angeles, where I do a lot of training, because I have to be there because I get to clean up the stuff in me, Los Angeles people are saying, do you have to mean it, Dr. Ulet? I mean, and so I would say to them, show me how you would mean it. They go, no, you don't have to. When you hit a delete button, you don't have to mean it, right? Yeah. So, you know, all of the woes and trouble of creation sits in this room. And if you're not willing to be 100% responsible, this war in Iraq will go on, the health system will go on, 30,000 people commit suicide because you are not being 100% responsible. So I'm only here to say, hello, just clean. That's your job. And divinity who can heal, only divinity can heal, will come down and say, oh my God, thank God they said I love you. You know that old saying, love thy enemy? You've heard of that? So who are you loving when you do the cleaning?
Yourself.
Oh, see, that's what I'm saying. You're loving what? Your enemy is who? Your trash. That's who you're loving. When you're angry, you're loving that to allow God to consume that. You're at zero, only then will you be in love with yourself. But you can't be in love with yourself unless you have enemies running around called trash, anger, resentment, annoyance, thinking, coping, managing, God knows everything else. So to love your enemies is to love your trash. Love whatever is going on for which you have no idea. The 15 million going on below your consciousness. 50 million enemies, what Shakespeare called poor soul. This is the soul for Shakespeare. Poor soul. These rebel powers that derail. So Shakespeare's already got it 400-something years ago, saying, here are your rebel powers. These are your only enemies. Once you get rid of them, by being 100% responsible, I love you, thank you, all of that, get rid of the trash, immediately seek ye first the kingdom, which is 0, and everything else will be added. You get it automatically. But you won't seek it if you're trying to figure out what's going on. How come? Why? Do I have to do it this way? Do I have to mean it? And we're all stuck. Yes. Remember, this is, you get to clean with this. It's on the outside. Yes.
Here's my trash. Yeah, I've been cleaning, letting go. That's my trash. And what happens when you are doing that and you actually feel like you're just getting worse?
You have to go slower and louder so I can understand.
What happens when you're cleaning and you feel like you're getting worse?
I don't hear what you're saying. No, you should be cleaning. I mean, you should be cleaning. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. But you can't be pure in heart. You've got trash running around. So let me hear it one more time as I clean. So be very specific. Give me for an example.
Okay. I started clearing. Well, I have been clearing.
Yes.
But I also find it harder to get out of bed and deal with the pain and the tiredness all the time. And then it gets to a stage where I can't clear anymore. And I found it very difficult to get here and keep going.
Yeah, so I'm going to show you how to do it today. You can do it automatically without being conscious of it. I'm going to show you how to do that, but I have to get through the trash. Yes? Yes.
What do you think about if you're not thinking about anything?
It's bullshit what you're thinking about. It's bullshit. You're not at 0. I'm trying to get you back to 0. Well, but you're giving me bullshit stuff.
Yes, probably.
Yeah, not probably, you are. Yeah. So I'm saying to you that if that guy was cleaning, you wouldn't have asked that question. But see, he thinks it's you. I mean, really. Because you can only ask a question if he had it in him already. You guys need to know that. That all of the woes and problems are already in you. You already came in. So if you're going to ask that question, you've asked it 1,000,000 times. But he was around too. He could have been cleaning. Had he cleaned, you would not have asked that. He would have erased it. This is really beautiful if you're willing to be yourself.
So why don't we just all ask crazy questions and just, all day and
Well, because you're going to be like you. There's going to be people around you because you're asking questions. You're making comments. But can you imagine if you were constantly cleaning, everybody would be in heaven. That's what they do. This is what the training of folks around all of you. You're going to help people. What a bunch of bullshit stuff. You're the problem. So now let's say he's a client. He's going to come and see me. I have a schedule. He's going to see me next week. Boy, I start cleaning with whatever I have with him. I'm going to start cleaning because when he shows up, we will have an easy time, have coffee, and he'll pay me $250. Yeah. I mean, right? Well, why couldn't you do it? Because you think you're going to help him. He doesn't need help. He's already perfect. What is imperfect is the data in you that says otherwise. That says otherwise. All of you walking around. So we say, well, he's got a problem. No, we got a problem. And I'm here to tell you, listen, it's over here. It's only over here. It's only data. Everybody's perfect. The universe is absolutely, God only creates perfect universe. Well, my God, what is imperfect? Just the data. The data where? In you. And if you don't get to it by being 100%, we're all going to be stuck. I'm going to be doing my cleaning, But if you get stuck by thinking, coping, boy, this is the 15 million going on. I'm going to be doing my cleaning, but some of this data I will not be aware of if you're in Thailand somewhere goofing off. I'm going to be stuck, and so will my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, and we'll have the wars over, another Vietnam, because none of us are 100% responsible. So the only question is, are we going to get 100% responsible, and how do we do that? Simply, like Joe Vitaly says, just cleaning. So you can be zero, and once you're zero, everybody else can be zero. So here's the way it works. Simple to do, but I'm going to show you 3 states. So you were created perfect. This is the zero state. This is cause. This is the effect. So as long as you're zero, there's nothing. As long as you're zero instantly, Jesus says, seek ye first the kingdom, then inspiration will show up. Well, inspiration does what? You have your talents. You're gracious, like Joe Vitaly. So you really become Hawaiian at heart. You become clear, gracious. You become what the Hawaiians call, e koma mai, my house is your house. Or you can hang around with trash. This is memory replaying, and what you end up with is suffering, as my friend Buddha says, or as you hang around with disease. You hang around with problems. Now the only question is, which are you going to choose? Well, if we're stuck here, like I'm stuck most of the time, then I have to be 100% responsible. If I erase this, which is the cause, then I'm back to zero. And if I'm back to zero, then divinity will give me what I need, and will give everybody else in the Mother Earth, the ocean, the waters, the ants, the bees, everybody will get what they need. Yeah. So I'm going to pause to see if you have any questions. Yes. Oh, those New Zealanders, my gosh. You can't even understand them, you know? Yes. Robin, why don't you stand up so we can hear you?
Hello.
Yes.
My question is this, is if we clean, then we can go early.
Yes. Oh, you got it.
Got it.
I can go early too.
Yes.
Yeah.
So hurry up, everybody. Let's clean up.
I paid her to say that. So please, I mean, I'm willing to entertain any questions. Outside, for me, if you ask me, I would just clean. But in the room, we're here to be 100% responsible. Yes, please.
I have a question over here.
Can you tell me your name?
My name is Amy.
And can you tell me a little bit about your family?
About my family?
Yeah, Mama, Papa, what's the family, relatives, and ancestors?
Mom and Dad, Cuban, came from Cuba about 40 years ago. My mom passed away in March this year.
Okay.
And I'm one of these so-called healers, right? I'm seeking to heal myself through other people.
Yeah, but we're 100% responsible, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And so when you say this, I think I understand, but I really don't. So now I find myself in a place where I feel like a complete fraud and totally confused. And
see, now the fact that you're saying that, you can erase it. I love you. Whatever's going on in me, and I feel like a fraud, I love you. I love you. Thank you. Thank you for coming up. Because you have to realize the only reason you and I are here is because to clean up our stuff. We're not here to do anything else. Right. Yeah, and so as you're talking, hopefully everybody else was cleaning. Got my fingers crossed. Yeah. Because I am.
I have one more question for you. I have based, I guess, my whole entire existence around, or I guess I fooled myself into thinking that I'm very altruistic in my nature, and so now I feel like I want to help people or I want to do something. So now I'm confused if the people who I help through my healing, through my spirituality, whatever, how can I do that if I erase, and then all my people will disappear? Well, hopefully that would be the point, right?
She's afraid of her income, you know? Yeah.
No, because you know what? I'm not making any money anyway because I do it for free so much. So, you know.
Let me give you a story. There was a psychologist about 10 years ago, sort of talked to me about she would like to take the class, but she was afraid that nobody, after she'd learned to do the cleaning, nobody would show up. And I said to her, well, you're not working on anybody. You're only working on yourself. The people who think they're helping other people are a pain in the butts.
Thanks.
Absolute pain in the butts. Yeah, because if you help yourself first by being at zero, she would be at zero and she would be willing to pay you. But if you think you're helping them, you're going to get burned. Let me give you an example. There was a woman in Japan who raised her hand, and one of the things she said, I have an autistic child. Okay. Now throughout the class, the weekend, occasionally she'd have a break, we'd have a break, and she'd come and talk to me, and she would say, can I do an energy work on you? So now I'm cleaning on that. Only divinity can do that. So I'm watching the cleaning, and what happened to her, she had an autistic child because of what she was doing. She was helping other people when in fact she should have been helping herself, and helping herself heal other people through her and get paid for it. Okay. So now my friend, Dr. Jarni Lee in Hilo, Hawaii, works only 3 days a week and travels a lot and makes a lot of money. I would have liked to have asked her for a commission, but I was slow on that. Yeah. But she makes all kinds of money being 100% responsible. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. And that's something that you can do and get paid for doing. In other words, if you're willing to, if you have clients, if you're willing to work only on yourself, about them, you'll be fine. And you'll get paid. I would get paid. Why are you not getting paid?
And I would quickly point out that the concern about making money is actually one of the things you want to clean, and that when it's gone, the money shows up.
Shows up automatically.
Yes.
Tons. Yeah, I mean, tons. I have a client who I've had for 15 years. His income went from being kind of like 10, 20 million. Now he's worth $500 million. I keep saying to myself, I should have asked him for a commission on these things. Yeah. So, story is the data is only in you. And if you are willing to work only in the data in you, everybody else will be zero. If you're zero, everybody else will be zero. If you become inspiration, everybody else will. Everybody else will. How wonderful to know that. By healing, quotes, the memories in you, everybody else gets freed up and they can get whatever they came to do. Are we ready for a break, or am I too soon? Anybody else? Yes. Yes. Now you get to clean with this. Don't just sit there now. Hello, ladies. You get to clean with this. Oh, okay. Just thought I'd tell you that. Yes.
Hi, everybody. My name is Marcia. I'm Brazilian. Dr. Len, I've read the book, and I have a question. My husband is very ill. And
No.
Wait, it's my garbage.
Wait. Your husband is not ill. It's the data that's ill.
Okay.
The data in you and me and in them.
Okay, but it's a little bit difficult for me to understand. When you say you have to clean, it means I have to say the words in the book, I love you, thank you, I'm sorry.
Any of those will work.
Okay, but he's suffering a lot, pains daily.
No, it's the data that's pain.
Okay.
Not him. He's perfect. You got to get that. He's perfect. It's the data that's imperfect that he's experiencing, all of us. If you're sitting there not being 100% responsible, he'll continue to be sick, and we will too. I want to let you know something very important. You have extreme pain in you, but you're not conscious of it. I mean, you have extreme pain, but if you were aware of it, you would go bananas. So lucky you're not aware of it. Oh, Yeah, extreme pain that you're not conscious. That's 15 million pain that you're not conscious of. And she's talking about this pain. So if you're all perfect, it's the data. That's what we got to get after. We got to get the data. So if she's willing to say, I love you, thank you, just nonstop, it'll go. I cannot imagine the divinity would not have it go. I can't imagine. At least it's not been my experience.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Give us a chance for all these people to be 100% responsible. Yes, back there.
So when you say I love you, thank you, are you talking to the ill husband, or are you talking to...
No, you're talking to the data.
To the data.
Yeah,
Okay.
because the data is the enemy. The data is the disease. Now, because we're willing to talk to our enemy, Jesus said, love your enemies. We're going to love the data to death. We're going to love it and consume the data. That's what love can do. But if you're thinking, coping, managing, not giving love an opportunity to do that, we just lost opportunity. Yes. Now you can clean with this one, because this has to do with Alzheimer's. She may not know it, but behind it, I'm watching the Alzheimer's stuff come up. Now, any of you have anybody or know anybody with Alzheimer's? Yeah, see, you get a chance, because if you let it go, she's doing us a favor. Yes, ma'am.
I'm interested in this concept of mindfulness. Study it to some degree. And now I come here. This resonates with this concept of mindfulness. This is possibly too academic, but do you have a response on that?
Zero. Mindfulness is being at zero.
Yes, yes.
So Buddha talks at mindfulness being at zero, and out of zero you get enlightened. This is enlightenment. Yes. Inspiration is enlightenment. Enlightenment. That's what Buddha talked about. The whole thing about Buddha is being at zero, which means letting go of the suffering, and then being enlightened. But none of us do this. We're too busy thinking and coping.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Joanne, you don't have a question. It looks like you might have something over there. Are you sure now? Why is it bubbling around you? There's something bubbling around you. No?
Not that I'm aware of.
Oh, okay. Anybody else, please? Yes.
Yeah. My name is Pam, and I wondered, is there a place for doctors and psychologists and healers in the world?
What do you suppose, Pam? What would you do if you had a toothache?
I'd go to a dentist.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
But before I go to the dentist, I'm going to do my cleaning so the right dentist shows up. I'm not going to go to any dentist, because if I go to the dentist, it'll be hell to pay. So the idea is to be at zero, the right dentist will show up, and you will have great fun with them, as opposed to going like that. But the idea is you want to always make sure you're at zero, so the right opportunities and the right people. Yeah. So, too bad, we'll still have to hang around with psychologists. Yeah. Yes? No, I want to hear it on the mic.
I'm still thinking about the cleaning on her sick husband, and you mentioned data and memories, and I think...
Did you hear it? Did you hear it talking?
Yes.
Well, how would you hear it talking if you weren't hearing data?
Whose data? Is it
yours?
Is it my data?
Yeah,
when I'm cleaning, am I cleaning just my data, my memories?
Well,
is it universal memories and data of everyone here?
Why would you be interested if you're cleaning your stuff? And if you're free, I mean, why would you be interested if anybody else is free? If you're free, Tom, if you're absolutely free, why would you be concerned? Because when you look around, everybody else will be free. But it's because you aren't free, nobody else can be free.
It's all my problem.
Oh, that's what I'm here to say that. Just data.
Just data.
So when you hear her, you don't hear her. You hear your data of her. This is your reacting. This is the veil that the great sages talk about, sages like Chaucer and Shakespeare. So you never hear, because if you came out of zero, let's say she began to talk, and as you talk, you began to clean. So let's say you talk, she's talking, and I begin my cleaning. Cleaning, just cleaning up my stuff. That's all I'm here to do. Okay, now inspiration comes up, and I will see as God sees. I will hear as God hears. I will act as God acts, because I'm moved by inspiration. But I can't be moved, I'm into bullshit. Really. Most of the time, we're just stuck in the data. So now you get a choice. You get to see as God sees, or you get to see as trash. So when she's talking, I'm cleaning already, because she's giving me a chance. That's why I'm here. I'm here going, I'm going to hear stuff I should be cleaning on. But I've been working on you folks for the last, how many weeks, Joe? Yeah. So Joe has been sending me the list. I've been working on it. So in case I bang you a couple times, you won't get angry. Yeah. Yeah. So she is doing us a favor that you and I didn't know we had this stuff in us. She speaks, wow, I get to clean. I get to be back to zero. She goes back to zero. Her husband will go back to zero. And divinity will give to him what's perfect and right for him, only because you and I were willing to be 100% responsible. Yeah. That's how great you can be, or just be a pain in the butt, Tom. Yeah. Do we get a break? One more question, maybe.
And then take a quick
Can you
break.
ask Joe Vitaly one more question? Yeah.
Oh, all right. Make it an easy one, like what time is lunch or something like that.
There's so much of that in the subconscious. How do you know, or do you ever get to zero?
See, but you'll never get it because you're thinking now. You're trying to figure it all out, as opposed to just get to the cleaning. And if you did your cleaning, I can't imagine that divinity would not provide the right dentist.
Okay.
I can't imagine, if you were God and I did my cleaning, you would provide the right dentist. But we're always in, how do you know? How come? I mean,
that was a great answer.
Yeah. But can you tell us how you wrote the book?
I wrote it by being inspired. I wrote the book by not writing the book. Now, I've written a lot of books. Most of you know things like The Attractor Factor and some of my marketing-oriented books. But when it came time to write Zero Limits, and of course I was excited about it. I couldn't wait to write the book. I really felt like the hand of God directed my writing. It was one of the easiest writing experiences ever. It flowed. Every now and then I would pause and ask myself, what do you want me to say next? Well, what was I talking to? I was listening to inspiration coming through me. And I kept cleaning and cleaning, which is what I'm doing 24 hours a day, nonstop. And I'll tell you some stories about what's happened to me by continuously cleaning and allowing inspiration just to come through. And when inspiration comes through, I act. For the book, I just kept writing. I actually wrote it in a very quick time period. It seems like I wrote it in a couple weeks. And then I think we went to Poland. Well, I gave it to you to review. And by the time I came back, he had reviewed it. I went ahead and tweaked it a little bit, and the book was done. Not only that, when I sent the book to the publisher, now remember, I just finished the book and I sent it to the publisher, that book was listed on Amazon as a pre-publication book. Because of the clearing, because of the energy that I was putting into this, because of an article that was an excerpt from the book, that book became an Amazon bestseller 6 months before it was published.
Now, I tell you my part in it. So he sends it to me to look at. Well, there's no way I'm going to look at it. So I do my cleaning, and as I'm watching page after page, up to about 150, I heard Divinity say, put it away. This is done. Don't do any more. It's done. So I said to him, I'm done.
And I thought he read it.
But you know, you're looking to clean because you're looking to have God read it. And as I was watching the eyes of God reading it, I heard really clearly, it's done already. Don't be messing around with it. Don't be trying to put a comma here. So I go, oh, okay. Like that. I literally had to tie my hands, you know? I would like to take a break.
Let's take a quick break.
And
Just
finally,
like
the guy
5
looked
minutes.
at me
And he says, "Are you a movie star?" And I thought, I don't know where this is going. And I said, I don't really know what you mean. I'm not really a movie star. He says, yeah, I think you are a movie star. And he says, I've seen you in a movie. And I said, okay, what was the movie? He said, Desperate Encounters. And I said, Desperate Encounters, what was that? And he said it was something with Kurt Russell and I think Harrison Ford. And I said, I was in that one? And he said, yeah, you were in that one. And I said, was I a good guy or a bad guy? He said, you were a bad guy. He said, you were a really good bad guy, but you were a bad guy. And I said, oh, really? And he said, yeah, I also saw you in Law and Order. Law and Order, the TV series, I've never even seen it, let alone been in it. And so I'm thinking, this guy has a different view of reality, and he's seeing whatever he expects because he did not believe me when I said I was not in those movies or TV shows. He had his own little programming that he had caught, his own data, and coming through him, through his eyes, and his opinion was, I was just a celebrity movie star who didn't want to be recognized. This guy also said, you know, last week I picked up William Shatner. And I said, oh, really? I mean, we all love William Shatner, right? And I said, what was William Shatner like? And he said, oh, he was not a nice man. He said he tried to steal my wine glasses that he had in the back of the limo. I said, this doesn't sound like William Shatner. And I asked him, I said, how tall was the guy? And he said, like 6'4". And I said, you know, that's not William Shatner. And I said, did he say his name was William Shatner? And the guy said, no, he said his name was Bill Archer. He said, but I know it was really William Shatner. And I thought, boy, we got a doozy of a driver here. And of course, Narissa finally says, have you ever heard of the movie The Secret? And the guy says, no, I never heard of it. And Narissa says, that's the movie he's in. But by then, he thought we were fabricating a completely different story to hide the fact that I was actually in Law and Order and Desperate whatever. You know, this is the man who picked up Bill Archer, who thinks he's William Shatner. Bizarre. But in many ways, we're all doing that. In many ways, we're doing that. We're not doing it intentionally any more than he was doing it intentionally, but there is all of this data that's keeping us from being here. And that was playful data that makes a funny story, but it's still data. So what we're here to do today is to clean as much of that as possible. I have been doing nonstop cleaning to the best of my conscious ability ever since I took my first workshop with him, which is now, I think, 3 years ago. Mark would have to remind me. And for me, it is just saying, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and thank you, nonstop. It has become my new self-talk. Now, all of you know what self-talk is on some level. You're doing it even right now. That's more of the data that's barking in your ears. And if you listen to your self-talk, it is amazingly critical. And if your best friend talked to you like that, or any family member, you would kill them. But you're talking to yourself. At least the data is talking to yourself in there. And what I've been working on is to replace that negative self-talk with, I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me, and thank you. I don't say it in any particular order, but I do say it, and I am saying it right now. It's the background talk in the back of my head. When I was listening to him speak, it was going on in the back of my head as I'm standing over there. And as I keep doing this cleaning, inspiration is allowed to come through. One of the examples that I want to give you that happened recently, that I don't even think I showed you, is I was in a fitness contest at one point, and I wasn't drinking any margaritas or anything like that everybody else was drinking, and I was out with friends, and all of them were having a margarita while I was having ice water, and the average margarita has like 700 to 1,000 calories in it, so it was really off limits, and I was frustrated, and I hit my fist down, and I said, what we really need is a bodybuilder's margarita, a fitness margarita of some sort. Where was that coming from? Where was that coming from? So that idea was coming to me, and when these ideas come, I think they come by grace. They come by a gift. They're coming, I think, from the zero, from the divine, from God. They're coming as a gift. And in that particular moment, I originally said it as a jokingly frustrated moment. But Narissa pointed out that that's actually a good idea. I'm known to follow through on things pretty well, almost to a scary degree. And I now have Fit-A-Rita. And Fit-A-Rita is the world's first healthy margarita mix. This has 6 calories in it. It has no sugar in it. It has no carbs in it. You add a shot of tequila, 6 ounces of water, you mix it all up, and you have a healthy margarita. Now, the predictions are, I'm going to make a whole lot of money. Well, it sounds like money as I shake it, actually. I'm hearing money. This is coming from inspiration. It is not me being strategic. It is not me trying to plan out, how can I create some sort of product and I'm going to make millions of dollars when I sell it. That's not working for me. And in fact, I'm at this point, and I talked to Dr. Hulan earlier, and I said, I no longer am creating the experiences in my life. I am agreeing to the experiences in my life. That is a dramatic difference. When I went on the Larry King show the first time, and some of you have heard this story, there were several people, Jack Canfield and James Ray and some other people that went on the show the same as me. And one of them slapped me on the back and said, man, I've been visualizing this moment for 6 years. And I said, oh, really? I've only been doing it for 2 weeks. And it was a playful little thing that I was doing with him, but the truth was I had never done it once. I had never tried to go on Larry King. I have never tried to visualize being on Larry King. That was never, ever one of my intentions. It came by grace. All of these things that have been happening to me recently, and there have been some amazing ones. I opened for Donald Trump in Chicago. They had actually called me 3 times wanting me to go and play. And I told them no the first 2 times because the inspiration in that moment said, you know what, they're not offering you what you really can get. Just say no. Now, on one level, in the back of my head, I'm thinking, this is really kind of crazy. I'm being asked to speak on the same stage before Donald Trump, and Joe Vitale is saying no? Who am I? But something in me just said, say no. Said no. They call a second time. They really want me. They offer more money, say I can speak less, and I don't have to sell anything on the stage. And I still said no, because something inside of me that felt like inspiration, that felt like it was coming from the whiteboard, said, no, that's not right. It's not, just don't settle. Just hang in there. They call a third time, and they say, we really want you to speak. We will pay you your full fee. You only have to speak for 30 minutes. We'll fly you and Narissa first class. We'll take care of all your expenses. You don't have to sell anything in the back of the room. Now will you do it? Yes. Yes. I have more and more of these experiences. Some of these stories I'll tell you over this weekend where they're all coming from me constantly cleaning. Somebody had asked about what you're cleaning. And I wanted to point out that it doesn't matter what your focus is when you're cleaning because you don't know what's really going on under the surface with all the data. It is so unimaginably complicated with all of this software wiring of the mind, with all these beliefs, all of this data, that you can't go and say, I have this heart problem, or whatever the problem happens to be, Alzheimer's or anything, because of what happened to you when you were 5 years old. You can't consciously pinpoint it. So the only thing you're left with is this wide sweeping eraser where you're cleaning everything. Whatever shows up, you're cleaning. And in my world, before it even shows up, I'm cleaning. And in fact, Dr. Hulan, he did repeatedly, every week, Suzanne will tell you, he wanted the list of who was going to be here. Because he was cleaning on that list, so when he got here in front of you, he would be as pure, as close to zero, as inspired as could be. He has done as much of his data cleaning as humanly possible in advance. So for me, the key message here is if you keep cleaning, you get closer and closer to the zero state, to the whiteboard. And as you get closer to the zero state, you're in a place where when divinity, zero, sends you an inspiration, you just go and do it. And there's no resistance to you to do it because that's been cleaned too. If there is a resistance, if you do have this urge to open a restaurant, to write a book, to go on a cruise, to do something in particular, and you delay doing it, it's because of some data. There's some data that's still just kind of floating through you, and you want to erase it. So for me, it's nonstop cleaning. I have occasionally somebody will write me and say, how often do I clean a day? Do I just do the I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you in the morning, and I'm done? And again, it's all up to you. For me, it doesn't ever end. And I also tell people, why would you want it to? If you're saying I love you in your head 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, every month, why would you want that to end? If we all were saying this, and again, I'm the only one that has to say this, he will constantly remind me of that. But if we're all saying this, can you imagine the kind of vibe that would be around the planet? Walking around where in the back of your head you're going, I love you? And I think it would be even better if we all walked up and said, I love you, 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 and let everybody be concerned and curious and confused, and I love you, to everybody, just saying it out loud. I think that'd be a fun little experiment. We only have a few minutes before lunch, which is already set up for those who prepaid for it. Do you have a question or two that you can offer? He would love to have a question. he welcomes questions in this room, not over lunch, but he will over this room. Do you have a question or two? So I have a question. Oh, he's standing up with a question. Okay, right there, Craig.
Why did it make me angry being in this room in the last session?
One more time, so they can hear it and clean it.
I'm Jim.
Yes.
And I wondered, why was my reaction to the last section anger?
I have no idea, but I hope somebody's cleaning. We know it's got to be data, but what data? Who knows? And who cares? Oh. Yeah. Oh, please release me, let me go.
So a minute ago, Joe said, doesn't matter what the focus is as long as we're cleaning. Does there have to be a focus, or can we just be using it as a mantra? I love you, I forgive you, I'm sorry.
That's sufficient.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. See, what you have to know is I only show you the 15 million, but there are billions. The 15 million, that is only per second. They drop down, more come up. But the data is ocean deep and mountain high. Yeah. I have somebody took the class, and in Dublin, no. I don't know where it was, Cork. And they sent me a picture of a monkey. And here's a picture of the monkey going like this. And it said, Tim realized with some horror that cleaning his way back to zero might take longer than he thought. One more question, because I'm really hungry.
Right here.
Yes.
I wanted to answer his question,
sure.
if I may. I had the good fortune of attending the first Zero Limits seminar at Lake Travis earlier this year, and I sat next to you at the first seminar. The guy stood up and said, "Why am I so angry?" So I don't know the answer, but I'd be glad to talk to you after the session if you'd like to talk about it.
Yeah. Talk to him. Anybody? We got 2 minutes. Yeah. You ever notice the same people ask questions? Yeah. Please don't feel insulted. I'm just saying that, you know? Yeah.
I would like to know why other hospitals aren't trying this out. I mean, that's
because
such a...
they're like you.
They are?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I would try it.
I know, but they're like you. Not me. I would do it. I wouldn't try it. I would just do it. Okay. See, right now at Hawaii State Hospital today, they have a lawsuit because now social workers and people like that are being beaten up on by patients. That's what happens when you don't take 100% responsibility. They'll beat up on you. That's what happens with women. They get beaten up on because they don't take 100% responsibility. I was giving a talk years ago to a group of women who are therapists. And I heard as I was cleaning, they're not going to invite you back again. I heard it even before I showed up. So it came around, and finally a question was asked. And The same question asked in Japan. I just got back from Japan. And the question is, how come women don't get more presidency of corporate America? Well, because they're not 100% responsible. That's the bottom line. But if they were willing to clean up that stuff, they would run the country. But they're too pissed off. Too pissed off. Yeah, they have activists or like that, but it doesn't clean up the act. Doesn't clean it up. I had a nurse at Hawaii State House. She was always ticked off. I mean, she'd come to work and the whole ward would just go crazy with her on the ward. So I just noticed that, and I said, I just noticed that every time I'm president, everybody goes nuts. So I began to work on it and work on it and work. A year later, it all settled down, and she and I got to be good friends because I was willing to be 100% responsible. The ward settled down. She was fine. They promoted her to some training position, but see, somebody has to be responsible. And I'm going to read something, and then we'll take a break. I got this when I was in Germany doing a class there, and somebody gave it to me, and I would read it. This is about you folks. And it'll be a good time to go on a break. It's called, the thing is called, That's Not My Job. There was a story about 4 people named everybody, somebody, anybody, and nobody. There was an important job to be done, and everybody was sure that somebody would do it. Anybody could have done it, but nobody did it. Somebody got angry about that because it was everybody's job. Everybody thought that anybody could do it, but nobody realized that everybody wouldn't do it. It ended up that everybody blamed somebody when nobody did what anybody could have done. And I'm coming back. If the women are going to wait up on the guys, you got a long wait. So do your cleaning and take over. I mean, really, you can take over this country. But you bitch and moan and groan, and it just goes on over and over. So if you get a chance to eat strawberries today, it will help with depression. Really. Strawberries, it will help with cleaning up depression. Because that's the problem that women have. They just feel down and out because they never get a chance. But I'm saying to you, the best way to go is don't be bitchy. Just clean it up, and you'll be fine. Because if you're waiting up on us,